She thought it was just a nanny job. Until she uncovered a murder, a billion Sadie cover-up, and the truth about the twins no one dared to speak. This is the nanny of the millionaire's twin kids. But before the story begins, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and turn on the notifications so you don't miss stories that keeps you on the edge of your seat like this. From the moment Linda Asante stepped out of the VIP bus terminal at Circle and into the chaos of Accra's morning traffic, she felt it, the pull of new beginnings. At 27, she was leaving behind the dusty streets of Kumasi, her past as a preschool teacher, and the heartbreak of a long, failed relationship. In her bag was a signed contract from the Nyako family, one of Ghana's wealthiest and most controversial couples. She had been chosen as the new live-in nanny for their 6-year-old twins, Jaden and Yanel. The job came with perks that sounded like fiction: a private suite with ensuite bathroom in their mansion in East Legon, a monthly salary she never thought possible for a nanny, weekend getaways paid for by the family, and even a personal driver on standby. Linda was nervous, but hopeful. When she arrived at the Nyako residence, it was like stepping into a Netflix series. The estate, was all white marble, glass panels, imported Italian tiles, and an Olympic-sized swimming pool in the backyard. Amma, the head housekeeper, gave her the tour. There were security cameras in every hallway. Every room was spotless but cold, like a showroom. And then came the children. Jaden and Yanel were adorable, soft-spoken, polite, but oddly watchful. They clung to Linda quickly, too quickly, like they had been missing warmth for a long time. Over the first week, Linda noticed things that didn't add up. Mrs. Serwa Nyako, the wife, was always gone. Lagos 1 week. Dubai the next. When she was home, she barely interacted with the kids. She floated through the house like an Instagram ghost in designer heels and expensive perfume, taking selfies in the foyer mirror, never staying still long enough to be real. Mr. Kwame Nyako, on the other hand, was ever present. Charismatic. Polished. Charming in a way that made Linda slightly uncomfortable. He smiled too often. Complimented her too easily. And once, when she handed him the twins' lunch report from school, his fingers lingered a bit too long on hers. She tried to ignore it. The salary was too good. The kids were sweet. The job was stable. But then came that night. It was a Tuesday. Rain was pouring on the roof. Linda had just tucked the twins into bed when she stepped out into the hallway and heard raised voices downstairs. She froze. Kwame and Serwa were arguing in hushed, angry Chi. Linda leaned against the wall, trying not to breathe too loudly. "You said it would never come out," Serwa hissed. "I told you we had to redo the blood tests," Kwame shot back. "You think I don't know what people will say when they find out she's not their mother? It's your fault. You wanted the cover-up. You wanted the life, Serwa. And you wanted to bury the truth. But truth doesn't stay buried forever, Kwame." Silence followed. Then footsteps. Linda tiptoed back to her room, heart pounding. What the hell had she just heard? She barely slept. At 2 a.m., a small knock came on her door. She opened it to find Jaden, standing in his pajamas, clutching a stuffed toy. His eyes were wide. Serious. Older than 6. "Auntie Linda," he whispered. "Yes, Jaden? Do you know our real mummy?" Linda froze. He stared up at her, and then, as if he'd said too much, turned and walked away. She stood in her doorway long after he'd gone, a chill crawling down her spine. Whatever this job was, it was no ordinary nanny job. Something wasn't right in this house. And Linda Asante had just stepped into a very dark secret. After Jaden's chilling question, "Do you know our real mummy?" Linda tried to carry on like everything was normal. She cooked their meals, helped with homework, joined them during playtime, and exchanged formal greetings with Kwame and Serwa like a good employee. But nothing felt normal anymore. The twins had grown even more attached to her, clinging to her when Serwa came home, hiding behind her skirts when their mother entered the room. And now that Linda was looking, really looking, she began to notice things she hadn't before. Jaden and Yanel had warm mahogany skin, rounded noses, thick curls, and dimples identical to Kwame's. But there was nothing of Serwa in them. No resemblance. No maternal warmth. No shared habits or inside jokes. They didn't even call her mummy. Just Madam. Serwa, for her part, acted as though the children were decorative accessories. When she wasn't off jet-setting or posing for Instagram reels with her perfectly curated life, she gave them robotic affection, a kiss on the forehead when the cameras were rolling, and icy silence when they weren't. The house felt like a stage. And Linda couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong with the script. Then came the mistake that changed everything. One afternoon, while dusting the home office, a space she was technically not supposed to be in, Linda opened the wrong drawer looking for wipes. Instead, she found a pile of real estate documents, and beneath them, 2 thin white envelopes. Each marked with the red logo of a private DNA lab in Zorwulu. Curiosity overrode caution. She opened them. Her eyes scanned the names, the percentages, the conclusions printed at the bottom of each report. And there it was. Serwa Nyako, probability of maternity, 0%. Her hands trembled. She quickly shoved the envelopes back into the drawer, replaced everything, and exited the office as if it were on fire. The twins were not Serwa's biological children. The question was, whose were they? Later that week, a new dynamic began to unfold. Kwame started lingering around Linda more. Too much. Asking how she was adjusting. Offering her wine at night after the kids were asleep. Confessing things he had no business sharing with a nanny. Serwa and we haven't been happy for years, he said one evening on the veranda. It was all for image. She came from money. Her family helped me land my first big contracts. But she doesn't love me, Linda. She loves the lifestyle. And someone else. Some man in Dubai. Why tell me this? She asked softly. Because you're the only person in this house who feels real. Linda should have stopped it right there. But the wine was warm, the night was soft, and for a woman who'd been abandoned by her last fiancé with nothing but a WhatsApp message, the attention felt dangerous but intoxicating. He kissed her. And she let him. Only for a second. But it was enough. Enough to cross a line. Enough to shift the energy in the house. Because the next morning, Linda woke up to find the twins' school shoes mysteriously missing. Her bedroom door slightly ajar, though she had locked it. And Amma, the stoic housekeeper, watching her silently from the top of the stairs. She said nothing. But the message in her eyes was loud and clear. Someone saw everything. And in this house full of secrets, being seen could be the most dangerous thing of all. The air inside the Nyako mansion shifted after the kiss. It was subtle at first, like a cold breeze under a tightly shut door. Amma, the housekeeper, watched Linda now with quiet suspicion. Her face unreadable, her movements slower, more calculated. She never asked anything directly. But somehow, she always seemed to be nearby. Listening. Even the twins started acting different. Yanel, usually bubbly and chatty, began asking strange questions. Auntie Linda, do you love Daddy? Did you love someone before you came here? Jaden just stared. Like he knew something. Linda's guilt made her cautious. She avoided Kwame for days, retreating into her nanny role like nothing had ever happened. But the tension was building. One night, she caught Kwame standing outside her door. He didn't knock. Just stood there. Staring. Before walking away. The walls had eyes. That much she was sure of. Then came the envelope. On a rainy Thursday morning, Linda woke up to find a white envelope slipped under her bedroom door. No name. No note. Just photos. Black and white stills. Security footage. Her and Kwame. On the veranda. The kiss. Her stomach dropped. She stared at the images, her heart thudding in her chest. Who took them? And why? Was it Serwa? Or? Linda remembered the security cameras, those silent little eyes perched above the garden, the pool, the hallways. Had she been so foolish as to forget them? She slipped the photos into her pillowcase and headed downstairs. Amma was in the kitchen, as usual, stirring light soup. Her face unreadable. Her lips tight. Linda opened her mouth to speak, but Amma beat her to it. You should be careful, madam. Why are you calling me madam now? Linda asked, voice cracking. Because you are not just the nanny anymore. Are you? Amma, what do you know? Amma turned off the stove, wiped her hands, looked her straight in the eyes. You don't know what you've stepped into. This house is cursed. The last nanny, Akojwa, she was just like you. Sweet. Naive. Beautiful. Linda blinked. What happened to her? Amma's voice dropped. She disappeared. One night. Just vanished. No resignation. No goodbye. Just gone. Linda felt her skin prickle. The police. Amma gave a short, bitter laugh. In this country? Against money like Mr. Nyako's? Her file was closed within 2 weeks. Labeled a runaway. But Akojwa wouldn't have run. She loved those twins. Just like you. Linda couldn't breathe. Do you know something? Amma stared at her for a long time, then turned back to the soup. All I know is, Akojwa had secrets. Secrets about those children. Secrets about Madame Serwa. And when she tried to speak, she disappeared. That night, while the house slept, Linda did something reckless. She accessed the hidden security camera archive on the house's internal system, a feature only Amma and Kwame were supposed to know. She found a folder. Deleted. But not permanently. Recovered folder name, Nanny Akojwa, April 2019. Her hands shook as she restored it. The last video showed Akojwa in the living room, arguing with Serwa. The audio was muffled, but words like liar, those aren't your kids, and I won't be silenced were faintly audible. Akojwa stormed off screen. The next clip showed Serwa pacing with a phone. Then nothing. No sign of Akojwa leaving. No goodbyes. No footage of her walking out the gate. Just, gone. Linda slammed the laptop shut. Someone had erased her. And now, someone was watching her too. She had kissed a married man. Discovered the truth about the twins. Found damning footage. And now she was tangled in the same web Akojwa had been in. The question wasn't if Linda was in danger. It was how soon it would strike. The deeper Linda dug, the more it felt like the walls of the Nyako mansion were closing in. She was living in a palace built on lies, and now, she was trapped in the middle of them. The footage of Akojwa had shaken her to the core. She hadn't told anyone. Not even Amma. Something told her the more she knew, the more dangerous her presence became. And yet, she couldn't stop herself. She started quietly gathering clues. Listening to the twins when they whispered about their real mummy. Watching how Serwa avoided looking them in the eyes. And she kept a backup copy of the security footage on her personal flash drive, just in case. Then, just as things began to feel steady, Serwa came home. Unannounced. And everything went to hell. She returned from Dubai with a vengeance, and Linda felt it immediately. The temperature in the house dropped. The staff moved like ghosts. The air was electric with unspoken tension. Serwa barely spoke to Linda, but when she did, her words dripped with thinly veiled venom. You must be quite good with children, she said over breakfast. My twins seem unnaturally attached to you. It's almost maternal. That evening, Serwa had the twins sleep in her wing. Linda wasn't allowed to say goodnight. The next day, Kwame finally broke his silence. He called Linda into his study, poured her a glass of red wine, and closed the door. She knows. Knows what? About us. About the kiss. She found the footage. But how? Linda whispered. She has someone on the inside. I think, she's been monitoring you from the beginning. Linda's skin turned cold. You need to leave, Kwame said. Just for a while. I'll handle Serwa. I just need time to explain things to her. It's not safe right now. But Linda didn't leave. She couldn't. Not without the twins. Not when she now knew what Serwa was capable of. And that's when Amma told her everything. It was a stormy night, not unlike the 1 week earlier when Jaden had asked about his real mummy. Amma knocked on her door and came in, clutching something wrapped in a kitchen cloth. She placed it on Linda's bed and slowly unwrapped it, revealing a faded, blood-stained nanny uniform. This belonged to Akojwa, she said softly. After she disappeared, I found it stuffed behind the storage cabinet in the laundry room. I kept it. Just in case. Linda stared at the cloth in horror. The faded name tag, A. Mensah. You said she had secrets, that she knew the truth about the twins, Linda said. Amma nodded. Akojwa wasn't just a nanny. She was their mother. The heir left the room. Amma continued. She got pregnant while working for Mr. Nyako. He promised to leave Serwa, said he'd raise the twins with her. But when the babies were born, Serwa came back into the picture. And suddenly, Akojwa was no longer welcome. She threatened to expose the affair. And then one day, she vanished. Linda was shaking. You think Serwa killed her? Amma looked her dead in the eye. I don't think. I know. The very next day, Linda was served with a surprise. A lawsuit. Filed by Serwa Nyako. Allegations of blackmail, seduction, and extortion. Linda couldn't believe what she was reading. According to Serwa's lawyers, Linda had been manipulating Mr. Nyako to secure financial leverage, threatening to release private family footage and confidential records. Kwame was silent. He didn't defend her. Didn't return her calls. Nothing. She was alone. Public scandal wasn't just knocking, it had kicked down the door. Linda packed her things. But before she could leave, she found the twins in her room, crying. Are you going to disappear too, Auntie Linda? Yanel asked. Like Mummy Akojwa did. Jaden whispered. Linda dropped to her knees, pulled them both into her arms, and whispered the only truth she had left. I'm not going anywhere. But as she held them, she realized she couldn't run. Not now. She needed to fight back. And she had a weapon. Serwa didn't know she still had the footage of Akojwa's final moments. The question was, who would help her use it? The day Linda Asante stepped into the Accra District Court wearing a simple navy blue dress and no makeup, the paparazzi went mad. Headlines were already spinning out of control. Billionaire's nanny turned mistress. Sex, lies, and DNA, the real face behind the Nyako empire. Twins at the center of a billionaire scandal. Serwa Nyako had thrown everything at her: allegations of blackmail, attempted seduction, theft of private documents. Linda had been forced into hiding for 3 days after the lawsuit broke, holed up in a cheap guest house in Osu. She lost the job. She lost her income. Her name was dragged through the dirt. But what Serwa didn't know was that Linda wasn't just a nanny anymore. She was a woman with proof. The day before the hearing, Linda met a blogger in a parked car behind Koala Supermarket, one of Ghana's most feared online personalities, Sleek Talk GH. Known for exposing corrupt politicians and crooked pastors, Sleek Talk knew a goldmine when he saw one. Linda handed him the flash drive. There's footage. Of the former nanny. Of Serwa threatening her. And after that, nothing. And you're sure it's real? Sleek Talk asked. 100%. Then by this time tomorrow, Ghana will know everything. The next morning, the blog post dropped. Murder in East Legon. Nyako family tied to nanny's disappearance. With it came the video. It went viral within hours. TV stations picked it up. YouTube channels broke it down frame by frame. WhatsApp groups were on fire. Suddenly, the entire narrative flipped. Linda was no longer a homewrecker. She was a whistleblower. And Serwa Nyako? She was no longer a polished socialite. She was the prime suspect in the disappearance of Akojwa Mensah, the real mother of the Nyako twins. Under public pressure, the Ghana Police Service reopened the case. Serwa was summoned for questioning. Her lawyers scrambled. Kwame Nyako, desperate to salvage what was left of his business empire, did something unexpected. He turned on his wife. He handed over evidence that Serwa had paid 2 ex-convicts to remove Akojwa from the property. Claimed he thought they were just going to intimidate her. Said Serwa assured him it would be clean. In court, Serwa remained composed. But the cracks began to show. Everything I did was to protect my family, she told the judge. Protect them from what? Their own mother. Linda snapped from the witness stand. From scandal. From shame. From the ruin Kwame caused by lying to everyone, including me. The courtroom was silent. It wasn't just about Linda anymore. It was about the truth. In a shocking twist, it was revealed that Serwa forged adoption papers, claiming the twins were orphans. The real birth certificate, uncovered by Sleek Talk's team, listed Akosua Mensah as the mother and Kwame Nyako as the father. The Nyakos had stolen Akosua's children and then made her vanish. By the end of the week, Serwa Nyako was charged with obstruction of justice, conspiracy to commit kidnapping, and unlawful adoption. The murder charge remained unconfirmed. Akosua's body had never been found. But public opinion didn't need a corpse. Ghana had already made up its mind. Kwame Nyako's empire crumbled. Sponsors pulled out. Real estate contracts were frozen. His lavish lifestyle, once flaunted on social media, dissolved in disgrace. He tried to reach Linda one last time. Met her outside the courthouse. "We could still fix this. You and me. The kids. You let her destroy their mother," Linda said coldly. "You don't get to play the victim now." She walked away. And this time, he didn't follow. Months later, in a quiet ceremony in Kumasi, Linda legally adopted Jaden and Yanel. The courts granted her guardianship after Amma testified, revealing that she was Akosua's aunt and had only taken the job as a housekeeper to secretly investigate her niece's disappearance. Together, Linda and Amma built a new home for the twins away from the scandal, the bloodstains, the glass walls of East Legon. Linda Asante, once a broke preschool teacher with a broken heart, was now the legal guardian of 2 children, a national hero, and the quiet face of a movement calling for justice in Ghana's private elite. She gave no interviews. She deleted all social media. But Sleek Talk's blog post about her ended with one simple, haunting line. "When the rich bury the truth, it takes someone poor to dig it up." From housemaid to hero. From scandal to justice. Linda didn't just fight for the twins. She exposed a legacy built on secrets. The Nyako empire fell, but a new family rose from its ashes. And Ghana finally asked, what else lies behind the gates of the rich? Subscribe for the next untold story. Because in this country, nothing stays buried forever.